Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. So, according to Micaiah Bryant's foster mom, Micaiah Bryant is the 16-year-old girl who was shot and killed by police in Columbus, Ohio. We've been talking about the last couple of days. According to her foster mom, the argument started between Micaiah and other foster children that she had fostered who came over to celebrate her birthday.
Oh.
The argument started between the girls about making the bed. Mom doesn't like things dirty. That escalated into an argument that escalated somehow into what we saw in that video. And there's a new video out that has the reverse angle on it from a neighbor named Donovan Bryson, who, oh, by the way, says basically the police, and he is a black gentleman, the police were right to do what they did because she was going to kill that girl. That was his perspective. Donovan Brinson, I should say, is the neighbor's name. And here's that video. And what you get on this that you didn't get on the body cam video is what Micaiah Bryant said as she was chasing girls with a knife. I'm going to stab the
Blank.
F out of you, B. Right.
Yeah, you can hear it there. Yep.
That's what she said. And so this becomes a little bit more complicated, particularly when you have plaintiff's attorneys like Benjamin Crump saying out of the gate that a 16-year-old girl was shot and killed who was unarmed. Well, she wasn't unarmed. And by the way, the girl who was on the hood of the car when she raised that knife and seemed pretty intent on plunging it into that girl, also a black girl, also a black teenager, said, yeah, she was going to stab me, so police got her. But
a police officer should be held as a hero.
We'll see if that becomes the prevailing narrative. I'm somewhat skeptical. For more on all of this and the context of the Chauvin conviction, as well as what continues to transpire and the degradation of the standards that continues unabated, pleased to be joined again by Gerard Baker, editor-at-large, Wall Street Journal. Gerard, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
I'm a little concerned about you because I understand you've been following Chelsea Handler's Twitter feed, and that is not healthy.
Yeah, I know. I'm going into therapy for it. It is slightly addictive. Yes, I wrote my column this week about not about Chelsea Handler, but about what I describe as the Chelsea Handler standard, really, among progressives now in terms of how we should view criminal cases. You'll recall, I think it did sort of go viral. Unfortunately, it didn't deserve to, but it went viral. What Chelsea Handler tweeted at the start of the Derek Chauvin trial. She tweeted something along the lines of why do we need to have a trial? Everybody can see the video. We saw it. We should just go. We should just deal with it. We don't need a trial. Now, I wasn't. It's easy to pick on idiotic things that Chelsea Handler says because she says so many of them, and it's not much of a career to build your writing career around Chelsea Handler tweets. But my point was not to poke fun at Chelsea Handler, but to point to the larger problem, which is that progressives and most of the Democratic Party, unfortunately, do seem to kind of subscribe to this. And of course, then I went on to talk about Maxine Waters. This is the view that why do we need the view that many of them have is the legal system is corrupt, is unfair, produces bad outcomes, is racist. The whole system is racist. I mean, Joe Biden's out there immediately after the verdict saying, we have systemic racism. Their argument really is that Maxine Waters was out there basically saying it on Sunday night when she said, if we don't get the verdict we want, we're going to get more confrontational. Their view of the legal system is the Chelsea Handler view of the legal system, which is we don't need trials and lawyers and presumption of innocence and burden of proof and beyond a reasonable doubt and all that stuff. We will tell you what's right and what's wrong. We'll tell you what the case is, and their basic view is since the system is unjust and racist, then it can't be fair, and that's a problem, frankly. And you saw
What-
again. Look, the verdict.
Yeah.
The jury came to the verdict. I watched the trial. A lot of it, I thought the evidence was quite compelling. I think you can have legitimate concerns about what was going on around the trial with people like Maxine Waters and the president and others. But look, they came to the verdict. I think most people I know accept that verdict. They think that Chauvin, they think the jury came to the right verdict, and that's the way the legal system is supposed to work. But if you have a system where people only accept the legal system if it delivers the verdict that they want, then you've got a problem.
Well, the other thing, too, is, it's one thing to laugh off Chelsea Handler. It's another thing when a municipal official like the mayor of Brooklyn Center, Minnesota, almost substantively takes that very position and makes it policy, firing the city manager and the police chief for suggesting that the officer involved in the Dante Wright shooting that she needs to get due process. The idea that you just sort of willy-nilly, I get this is where the left is, to your point. They willy-nilly ignore the Constitution. They want to make D.C. a state. They willy-nilly ignore the Constitution due process when it suits them. And it's really a remarkable thing because I guess my question would be, okay, well, then what are we replacing it with?
No, exactly. I mean, well, look, this is, again, look, I don't think all Democrats necessarily think this way, but the prevailing ideology in the Democratic Party, which seems to have many of them basically convinced, is we've talked about this before, but is this sort of critical race theory, which is based essentially in Marxist interpretations of society, and the Marxist view is that you can't kind of consider individuals as individuals. You have to see them as part of a larger social grouping, a larger identity. And in the old Marxist format, it was like the capitalist exploiters versus the working class, right? Well, that didn't work because actually the working class turned out to do well under capitalism, and a lot of people liked it in capitalism, and and communism and that version of Marxism collapsed. This has come back now in the form of this critical race theory, where instead of capitalists and the working class, capitalists and the exploited, it's white people fundamentally and the oppressed, who are blacks and to some extent other minorities, and they take the same view then that so you can't look at all of the structures that we have in place. This is the basis of the theory. All of the structures that we have in place, the political system, the judicial system, the Constitution, capitalism, everything that we created is fundamentally illegitimate because it is the product of white supremacy. It's the product of the oppressor classes oppressing down on minorities. And therefore, you can't necessarily accept as legitimate the proceedings of what those institutions do. So that's the problem. So again, I went on to talk in the column about what Marxists wanted to do was create these sort of proletarian courts, and I think you make that very good point about the whoever it was in Brooklyn Center who basically said you fired someone for saying someone should get due process. We are close to a situation here where people want mob justice. I mean, look at so again, you can argue about the Chauvin trial. There is an argument that was a form of mob justice, right? Because the jury were very clear in their minds, I think, that if they came to the quote-unquote wrong verdict, then the country would explode. You just talked about this terrible case of this Ma'Khia Bryant girl. Look at the way the left immediately seized on that before any facts were known to condemn that police officer. Look what LeBron James did.
Right.
In posting a photograph of that cop on Twitter saying, "You're next." That's mob justice. That's the kind of justice I think that a lot of these people want. They don't want to hear that, actually that cop acted out of incredible, actually acted to save the life of somebody else. He acted with bravery. He did exactly what he should have done. As far as we can tell, all the videos we've seen that have come out suggest that he saved that other girl's life and that he did what he had to do. But that doesn't matter. But
the professional agitators need a cause. They need to drum up something. So where are they going to go from Minneapolis? They're not going to go home and take a week off. They need somewhere else to go. So don't you think they're naturally going to move over to Columbus, Ohio?
Yeah, they are. And the next one and the next one. They will. They will move on. And again, and this is not just, it's easy to, again, it's even easy maybe to poke fun at the Chelsea handler or LeBron James. Remember, after the initial White House response after that Ma'Khia Bryant death, the official response, which Jen Psaki read from the White House press room podium, talked about black people being victims of police violence. It expressed great sympathy for a child, as it described her, who'd been killed, and it went on to talk about police violence. That's from the White House. That's from the President of the United States. That's not, some stupid comedian who thinks she's funny, or from some, basketball player who makes tens of millions of dollars by playing to Chinese, by taking money from the Chinese government and their sponsors who happily, while they're happily oppressing people. That is from the President of the United States, immediately leaping to the accusation of police violence. What kind of justice is that, when the President of the United States weighs in immediately, completely falsely accusing a police officer of committing, in an isolated way, of committing police violence? That's the justice they want.
He is Gerard Baker. He's editor-at-large, Wall Street Journal. Check out his latest piece. We were discussing in part the Chauvin trial and the Chelsea handler standard of justice. Gerard, thanks as always for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
You're listening to Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Are you aware that AmericanEagle.com has been designing websites since the internet started? Do you know they've helped companies large and small achieve results that they themselves thought impossible? Today, a well-designed website is an art form. There are no cookie-cutter solutions. At AmericanEagle.com, they are proud to design and develop a website that fits their client's business. Their experience shows that a well-designed website with the client's business at the forefront will bring an excellent return on their investment. Clients, from startups to medium and large businesses, have come to rely on them for a full line of website services, from consulting and integration to digital strategy and marketing, hosting, and maintenance. AmericanEagle.com is the technology partner you need if you're looking for online success. They work with all kinds of companies in nearly every industry. Give the team at AmericanEagle.com a call today, 1-877-WEB-NOW-1. Let them help you achieve online results and success. AmericanEagle.com, that number again, 1-877-WEB-NOW and the number 1, 1-877-WEB-NOW-1.
Are you taking care of your temple? What's going into your body? Hi. And I know you've heard me talk about Balance of Nature several times. I've been taking it for more than a year. My mom's been taking it. Peyton and Eli have. And they've really noticed a difference. My mom was struggling to walk up a hill in her neighborhood, and now she can tackle it every day. And you can have Balance of Nature too. Just try it out for a month. Trust me, you will notice a difference. And if not, call me and tell me about it. But here's the deal. It's just 6 capsules a day. You're getting 10 servings of 31 different fruits and veggies.